Hey guys, how's it going? Coach Tyson with part 2 of Form Check. And in the last video also we talked about this. Thank you for submitting your videos. We're extremely happy that you sent us a lot of videos. It's more videos than we expected. But आजको first video के छ?
So Dinesh deadlift 100 kgs.
Dinesh is deadlifting 100 kgs. Alright, so let's have a look at Dinesh. Oh, conventional deadlift. I think last part में हमने conventional देखेन क्या? ए हैन सुमो रहेछ. Alright, so overall deadlift ramrai cha. You're doing the major pillars correctly. You know what's happening. Maybe a foot arch ma chahi alikati you still got to work on, which is something everybody should, हैन. But you're not forcing yourself in an extension too much. And you're naturally letting the bar come up. A little bit of overextension at the top because you don't have to really overextend at the top. So you गरिसकेपछि because when you're overextending, you see you're losing tension at your knees. So this is not something that we want. So we want a strong, solid knee lockout. So that's the first thing that I want to talk about. And the second thing, let's go to the barbell and then we'll discuss more. I think this is also a very common mistake for most deadlifters, that they're not pulling the slack actively on the barbell. So त्यो भयो भने चाहिँ it causes you to probably move forward, backwards and all those things. So slack pull गर्ने भनेको चाहिँ there's a space between the collar and the barbell. यो space हो, यो space लाई clear गरेपछि then you can stand. So basically त्यही मात्रै हो है. So you want actively pull against the barbell like that. तर यो weight धेरै हल्का छ, so it's coming up naturally. तर when the weight is heavy enough for you, it's not going to come up. So you want actively pull the bar and then take your hips into position and then just stand up straight. So when you're going into extension, knees soft hunde gayo ni ta. So you want the knees to be extended. So actively pull against the barbell and then stand up tall, knees extended, don't overextend. Let's move on to another one.
So the next athlete we have Safal Thapakazi, deadlift 148.5.
Safal. Yeah. All right. A lot of deadlifters. I think to start off, I think your stance is a bit too wide for you because you're not being able to hold the external rotation, because as you're pulling the barbell, you're forcing yourself into internal rotation. That normally happens when you don't have enough strength to hold this position, and maybe I think your leverages also isn't perfect for stance this wide. अब हुन त wider गर्दै गयो भने, if you're strong enough at that position, maybe the range of motion is going to be shorter and you're going to be stronger. But then since you're starting my internal rotation भनेपछि सुरुमै हामीले if you don't have context, हामीले अघि पनि internal external rotation कसरी काम गर्छ in the previous video and even in this video we've talked about. So internal rotation भने चाहिँ is your body trying to go into its more stronger natural position, and then internal rotation is fine if it's maybe towards the end of the lift or something like that. तर lift को starting में if you're going into an internal rotation before you're pulling, that means you don't have strength in this area. So यहीँबाट internal rotation जान थालिसक्यो भनेपछि, see this side, and then you're already sort of like twisting towards this side. So maybe try to come in on your stance a little bit, so then you can keep an externally rotated back. And also like lockout ma issues भइरहेछ, mostly because I think you're forcing yourself out so much that your hips are so much more in, and you're not in a basically an idle position to have any hip extension. So maybe I think once you closen up your stance and start to work from there, then I think it's going to be better. One more, let's have a look. Yeah, see, it's a bad internal rotation. I'm not saying internal rotation is bad, but it shows many things where you're strong, where you're weak. So last तिर गएर अलिअलि internal rotation भयो भने it's fine. तर सुरुमै भयो भने it shows that you're not strong enough at that position, and this seems to be like volume work. so I cannot say where you're lacking strength, but I would assume that you would fail at lockout because of improper starting position. So I think we need to fix that. Let's move on to another one.
Manish bench 60 kg.
Manish, wide video रहेछ hips up, toes down. All right. एकदमै छिटो निकाल्ने रहेछ. So take your time. Don't rush the process. Set your feet first before you're unracking the barbell, because your feet is still in the air while you're taking out the barbell. So keep that in mind. Do not rush. Yeah, so the overall picture for this bench press, I would say, is that you're trying to rush the lift a bit too much, and also this seems to be very lightweight even for you, and I cannot see any major form breakdown. So I would suggest that you slow yourself down a little bit. Even if the goal is much muscle hypertrophy, you still want to have some control on the descent, even though like the concentric is quite powerful. Descent ma pani have some control, and the overall form looks quite nice, to be honest. And I think keep working on moving every rep with a lot of intent and focusing on the cues that we also talked about in the bench only video, because here, since it's not a very heavy load, I cannot give much of form feedback here. Yeah, take it easy. So yeah, Manish, you need to be patient and try to control each and every rep, and then slowly over time start to add more load. Next case, you're going quite fast.
So next, Arvind Jha. So this is the first conventional deadlift होला अनि एकदमै inspired हुन्छ टाइसन दाइ मोहित दाइबाट भनेर लेखेको छ.
ठिक छ. Thank you for kind words and conventional deadlift. So it's more like a strongman style deadlift. Since we're losing position of the lumbar and upper thoracic part, maybe this would help you to use more quad extension of the floor. हामीले sumo deadlift मा नि अघि नै कुरा गरेको थिए. Similar thing applies to the conventional deadlift as well. Since this position isn't proper, so you're scooping the bar off the floor quite powerfully, हैन? But then as you reach the lockout point, since the back position has been compromised so much that we're not able to complete the lift with hip extension. So yo गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ then you're having to forcefully go into like a strongman wedge अनि support लिएर माथि माथि जबरजस्ती तान्नु खोजिरा जस्तो देख्छ. Before that, I just want to say be careful about the biceps, because you want to try and keep your arms as extended as possible. So if flexed भयो, weight too much the तलबाट तान्यो भने we could run into a bicep tear and all those issues. So deadlift गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ what you want to focus on is a balance between hips and knee extension strength. So hip extension strength हामीले पहिला पनि धेरै चोटी कुरा गरेछ. 50% stretch in the hamstrings अनि त्यतिमा राखेपछि back neutral हुन्छ. So if you're only using quad extension, so the hamstring activate नभएपछि lower back round हुँदै जान्छ नि त. So that's what's happening for you, हैन? यस्तो भयो, lower back round भयो and you're pulling the barbell. यहाँ पुगेपछि strength छैन अनि जसरी हुन्छ माथि तानिरहेछ. So what we want to focus on is using the hamstrings as well on the deadlift, not just the quads, because like I said, too much quads भयो नि lower back round हुन्छ, especially from a close stance. So what we want to do is find the hamstring stretch 100%, find 50%, and then go down to a deadlift position. So in that way, you can keep your back neutral as well and keep your arms extended. All right, अर्को को छ just.
So Nikhil Sakya squat 95 kg.
Nikhil Sakya. All right, Arvind, work on the deadlift form. It needs work because like राम्रो मात्रै मैले भने भने then maybe you'll think it's good, but त्यो भयो नि झन् over time it's gonna be more problematic नि त. And then if you want to take your training to the next level भन्नाले intermediate side, maybe advanced elite level गर्यो भने technique is very very important to break through plateaus and all those things. Nikhil भने है?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the squat. This also seems to be like volume work for you. But overall, your squat is quite nice. You're using the hinge to anchor the barbell over your midfoot, which is a good thing. Your elbows are under the barbell. I cannot see if it's in the right spot on your rear delt, but because there's so much wrist extension, maybe you could open up the stance a little bit, because as long as your back is stable, it should be fine, you know? And then don't put too much stress on your wrist, because it's also going to affect your bench press, because you got to bench after you squat, right? So aligati hat wider गरेर maybe you could try something like a full grip as well on that end. But one major thing I see is you're hitting depth almost about in this point, you know? But you're forcing depth, and your back is going into too much of a flexion, because your quads are going forward. So if you see here, your back goes into sort of like a flexion, especially yahanira. So we don't have to go this deep on a barbell squat. हामीले squat video मा पनि यो कुरा चाहिँ गरेको थियो that we don't want to force too much depth, and depth should be a byproduct of हाम्रो bracing. So हामीले हात अघि नै कुरा गरे, यस्तोरी पछाडी नराख्नु. So तिम्रो like यो हात गर्दाखेरि you're going too far forward like that, and it's causing too much problem on your wrist. So maybe open it a little bit, but then keep it neutral like that, and it should be on top of your rear delt. So first thing, we want to fix that. Second, depth गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ your depth should be a byproduct of a bracing and a hip position. So यहाँबाट गर्यो भने हामीले brace गर्यो, you should automatically be stopping somewhere around here. So you are forcing yourself into too much depth, and त्यो भइसकेपछि then since you don't have enough core engagement, त्यो भएपछि then squat becomes wobbly, and maybe you could fail at the bottom. So brace really hard, put your glutes in, everything's nice, hold it, and then as you feel the pop of your belt, and then come back up as long as you're hitting depth. And in your case, it isn't a problem because we're already hitting depth by quite a bit. So that's something that I would work on your squat. And overall, it looks good, man. It looks pretty damn good. Next.
Bikin Joshi bench 130 kg.
Bikin Joshi, big bencher.
भक्तपुरको विनर हो.
भक्तपुरको विनर ठिक छ. Overall, it's a pretty solid bench, and I wouldn't say it's a bad bench. So again, very similar problem to Anmol Shakya, where you're really tight, nice setup छ, तर तल आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ range पुगिरहेको छैन, and you're like dive bombing, and then you notice the second rep tends to be a bit better than the first rep. I'll just tell you why it is. So normally your first rep at it, RP10 देख्छ नि त, but then his second rep is better than the first rep in terms of control at the chest. And maybe if you use weights such as like let's say 120, and if you do it for 4 reps or something, I'm sure you can do it. First rep गाह्रो हुन्छ, second, third, fourth improve हुँदै हुँदै जान्छ के. यो चाहिँ because range भइरहेको छैन नि त. So if you're retracted too much, यस्तोरी धेरै टाइट गर्यो भने चाहिँ यहाँसम्म मात्रै हात आउँछ, त्यसपछि वात्तै झर्छ के. अनि त्यसपछि press the gore जबरजस्ती, and then your shoulders is in a good position. Now you can retract as you bring the bar down to your chest, and then second rep, then third rep मा मिल्दै जान्छ. So bench is like an art. It should be like an art form के, एकदमै flowy हुनु पर्यो नि त, loose, relaxed हुनु पर्छ. And weight धेरै छ भन्नेमा एकदम टाइट गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने छैन. Squat मा maybe up to a point you should be really tight. तर bench गर्दाखेरि as long as your shoulders are depressed, यसरी down, and then your retraction is about 50%, should be fine. And then you should retract on the way down, and then try to reach high up in your chest, and you reach high up in your chest. so that you can get a good starting point to press off from. कतिजनाको चाहिँ अब flexibility हुँदैन latchमा, so maybe you could add in some mobility for your latch as well, maybe do accessory movement which would target the front part of the latch, the serratus. And yeah, that you got a pretty strong bench. Just gotta fix some of these issues. And maybe I think you would also benefit from like a soft touch bench rather than dive bombing it, because the second rep is quite nicely controlled. Okay? Yeah, so just free up, relax, and then try to have a more dynamic shoulder rather than a solid, fixed, rigid one. And that's, I think, a big misconception also in powerlifting. Sabajanaले tight matrai prescribe garcha, but you gotta, free up, relax a bit. All right, nice bench. Abo?
James Mugger, deadlift 225 kgs.
James Mugger. Now we're getting big lifters now, eh? Deadlift 225. Hype squat as well. This guy is pretty relaxed, at the full loose. So. Pretty solid deadlift, I would say. Let me have a look one more time. Alright, so pretty solid deadlift. You know where to put your feet, you know where to have the hips anchored in, arms long and relaxed. But the major thing I would work on is strength off the floor for you. And that's also because, like we talked about also, but it's also because you're putting yourself in a much disadvantageous position at the bottom of the lift by keeping your hips inside. Like pelvic tuck in गरिरहेछ नि त, so your tailbone is pretty much facing down against the ground. So this keeps you in a disadvantageous position for the starting of the lift. But it really carries over as you finish the lift, Nida. So for your case, since you're in this position, you're being sort of impatient and trying to pull the weight up really quickly. But what I want you to do is try and maintain this starting position of the barbell and your hips up until you reach your shin. But in your case, you're shifting back slightly, alikati, so that lockout फेरि यसले नै गर्दा गाह्रो भइरहेछ के. So as you're pulling, see, you're already moving backwards a little bit. So त्यो backward move गरेको कारणले चाहिँ the weight is getting stuck around this point. So had you kept your hips inside, knees inside, and then really forced with your quads, then at this point you would have locked the weight out. Now, regardless, this is a really strong and aggressive pull, but be more patient, because your lift is, you're relying more on technical ability, technical prowess rather than brute force. You need to calm yourself down. एकदमै hyped भएर lift गर्नु isn't the right way to do it, especially with a deadlift like you. So think about it, be really patient off the floor, just have confidence in yourself, and yeah, just keep going, man. You look young, you look strong, and I'd love to see more of your lifts in the future as well. Yep, just be patient, and that's about it. Good lifting. Maybe we should move on to the next one.
So the
last one?
Yeah. Jivan, bench 80 kgs.
Alright, we got a bench from G1 which is 80 kgs. कति धेरै bench रहेछ जिममा. Alright, so like when you're unracking the barbell, I was expecting that your arch would be a bit more higher because you got quite a lot of thoracic mobility, hip flexibility, राम्रो छ हैन. But as you unrack the barbell, you're losing all the position that you created. So first thing, press from your legs really hard. Try to keep your arch the way it was when you're almost like trying to take it out, because here we're losing almost all the arch and it's almost like a flat back bench press. I can't see your foot really, but I think it's pointed outwards externally a bit too much. So maybe try to hug the bench more and then press yourself with your feet. So imagine this being your feet. Bring it inside and then press it away from you so that this chest rises up quite high. Descent is a bit abrupt, like you're not very confident of the descent, and I think we also lack some deceleration speed. Acceleration to yo bhayo, the rokine bani the speed chahiyo when you're coming closer to your chest, so you're like you're stopping only because your body is on the way, natra bhani if you go through the bench sort of dekhirahechha ni ta. So deceleration is also more important, which comes from scapular retraction and depression. So scaps le retract gardai gardai yaha chest ma pugdakheri thakka rokinu paryo ni ta barbell. So maybe you could do more pause bench presses. I wouldn't recommend tempo because it will change the way you bench forever if you start to do tempo bench presses. It's if you can't find position, right? Tempo chai tara yo gardakheri you're not being able to stop the barbell. So we want to stop the barbell when it reaches the chest. And then since you're pressing with your feet constantly, त्यो गर्यो भने चाहिँ chest माथि नै बसिराख्छ नि त, and you don't have to, you know, go through this range of motion. Yeah, same thing. You're not being able to stop the barbell. Hwatta आइराछ अनि त्यो जिउले मात्रै रोकिराछ के बारलाई. So I think deceleration, something like paused deadlift and getting a stronger back would help you in that issue, and overall tighter bench. And I think bench garda, sumo garda, squat garda, I think if you watch the entire video, then you could get more cues from all of the other lifters who are similar or even different, but the same cues apply if you're not doing it. So yeah, that was all the videos. We've come to the end of part 2, and thank you again for sending your videos, and maybe in the future if you get positive response from this video, we're gonna make more parts of this because we love to help you guys out and we enjoy watching each and every one of you lift. That's what we do basically, I know. So yeah guys, thank you so much for watching this video. You know the drill. If you want customized training templates at an affordable price, we've got it in our website. One-on-one coaching to take your technique, your performance, your training to the next level. Then we have we have coaches in our team to work with you one-on-one. Nutrition plans, supplements, everything in the website. And until next time, be strong.